Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I saw an interesting observation by one Omoyele Sowore. Nigerians know him as a social activist. He observed that the greatest eaters of meat in the world are the Yoruba people. The Yoruba people, by the way, are one of the major ethnic groups in the country called Nigeria. Nigeria has three major ethnic groups: the Ibiri, the Yoruba, and the Hausa. There are hundreds of other ethnicities, but these three are the largest in population. So Sowore was observing in a sort of complaining tone that the Yoruba eat meat more than any other ethnic group in the world, and that a very major organization of the Yoruba called the Redeemed Christian Church slaughters up to 2,000 cows during one of its festivals, that he's wondering why they don't have a single cattle ranch in Yoruba land, while the Yorubas consume meat more than any other group in the world. And he said something that is true, but it's also funny. He said the Yorubas have names for every single part of the cow. This got me thinking, because there is an Igbo story with meat too. Less than 2% of the food of the Igbos is meat. The Igbos traditionally did not eat meat so much. Note, we did not shun meat. We ate meat, but we ate meat minimally. The greater portion of our food traditionally is vegetables. We are more vegetarian than anything else. There is nothing we eat that we would not introduce vegetables to. And even though majority of our people would not know this was why in our darkest period, from 1967 to 1970, when 10,000 of us were dying every day due to enforced starvation, during the event called the genocidal war that was waged against our people, when we were put to starvation, we never became cannibalistic, because our diet was never composed of meat to the extent that, say, the diet of the Yorubas is. Growing up, men, women, every Igbo was what the Jewish community will call the Shoketim. That is the people that slaughter animals. Every one of us will still remember that you don't eat the blood at all. You don't eat the blood at all. We all remembered how we slaughtered the animal. A small hole is dug, the neck of the animal is placed on top of the hole, and with a sharp cut across the neck, you drain the blood into the hole. So, just as we did not eat meat so much, we also did not eat blood. And as I have said, this was responsible for why we never became cannibalistic. When, if an Igbo was lucky, he found one meal in 6 months. That was why we lost over 3 million souls, primarily to starvation. We prefer to starve to death than to become cannibalistic. It's a subject for another day about how this will be put in the proper context. But it's very, very important as we study human societies and culture. So, why is it important for us to get into discussions like this? Our people suffer from what is called identity crisis. We waste too much time and energy engaging with things that don't concern us. And this has impeded our march to progress. By 1969, late former American Secretary of State Henry Kissinger addressed us as the wandering Jews of West Africa, westernized and progressive. He was describing us when our society had gone down, because the 300 years of the transatlantic slave trade, during which our land was the epicenter of the slave raids, did a lot of harm to us. So we were already in decline by the time Kissinger noticed that our civilization was like Western civilization. But be that as it may, that Kissinger could think that the Igbos and the Europeans were at the same level of civilization and development then tells a very, very important story. Even though I believe that we had gone down then, because I know where we were. Like 100 years before then, there was no prostitution, no destitute, no homeless people in the Igbo society, even though we did not have a regular army and a regular police. But due to trauma that has been unhealed, our people suffer from a crisis of identity. And many of our people do not really know who they are. And when you don't know who you are, you don't do what you should do. And when you don't do what you should do, what do? You get involved in discussions and activities that are contrary to who you are. That is why I seize every little opportunity I have to keep emphasizing to our people who we are. And if we don't want to reinvent the wheel, we ate very little meat, we did not eat blood simply because we are Israelites. I know that this is sour to some losers. Some people who are losers are not happy to hear this. Not that the Israelite identity confers any superiority to anybody, but because they hate us, they prefer that we don't know who we are. They prefer that we don't behave the way we should behave. For example, we should serve only God. We should not even serve fellow Hebrews. But when we don't know who we are, we can begin to serve them. I mean, these losers. So, but what do? You don't stop saying the truth, because some losers are unhappy about what you say. One nincompoop that I had to get rid of from my social media outlets looked at the very, very powerful interview I had with Jury Duty and began to talk arrant nonsense. He couldn't spell his name very well, but he was confident enough to engage with somebody who studied for degrees in law. I'm talking about myself. I have degrees in law. I was a law teacher in Nigeria. I came to America. I studied for a master's in religious studies, and I have a PhD in religious studies. And an idiot who couldn't spell his name properly felt he could talk anyhow to me because... And I simply blocked him because I don't have time for idiots. All the best. Thank you.